This is your daily dose of all things royal. Welcome back, my gorgeous, good-looking friends. Observed annually on the second Monday in March since 1977, Commonwealth Day brings together people from across the Commonwealth, representing nearly a third of the world's population. King Charles has said the Commonwealth can be a force for unity in a fragmented world, in a message at the annual Commonwealth Day service in London, for us to look back. Before we go into talking about this year's message in King Charles's speech, I want to take some time. Seriously, who can believe that it's been 6 years already since Harry and Meghan decided to cross the pond to help the Democrats interfere with the 2020 election? You see, it was all hands on deck back then because they couldn't allow Donald Trump to get back into office. And as we've watched these last 6 years play out, I think people understand why. Now, I've been saying this for a while now. Donald Trump threw a huge wrench into the globalist plans when he won in 2016. They didn't see that win happening. They truly believed that the puppet that they picked, which was Hillary, was going to get into office. We now know, according to declassified government documents, that Russia collusion was a complete hoax fabricated by the Democrats. And this lie set the stage for this censorship infrastructure that we now call the censorship industrial complex. And the whole goal was to control the information in order to achieve that cognitive security. Because if they could achieve the cognitive security, then they can control your behavior. And that's exactly why Harry and Meghan always are targeting the youth, because they're impressionable. These globalists fully understand that. If they can capture the youth with this ideology, then it will be easier for them to accept this new world order. And this is why the globalists hate free speech so much. They can't have dissenting voices calling out the corruption as well as threatening their power. And this is why Harry and Meghan behave the way that they do, because they truly do see if they can shut down voices that are highly critical of them, then if it's only positive news and information and narratives that they want out there, then people will see them in the way that they want to be seen, which is adored, loved, and also entitled to have more opportunity and more money. They don't want people with different opinions, and they don't want to hear the truth. They want to push their truth, even if it means deceiving and manipulating others for their own personal gain. And they're no different than some of the politicians that we have. When you look at these leaders, they're not serving the people, they're serving their own self-interests. Yeah, I don't think people fully understand the gravity and importance of Elon Musk buying over Twitter. Because you do realize without those Twitter files, people would have never known that behind the scenes, you've got people like Meghan and Harry and governments colluding with social media to silence voices. And nothing could be done to get those voices back. Just think about how bad it would have been had Kamala Harris gotten into office. I guarantee many of our voices would have been gone by now. She was all for following suit with the UK and putting legislation to where you could be criminalized and locked up for speech. How crazy would have that been? So fast forward 6 years later, I know things are a bit nutty right now, but look how much has been exposed. It's because of having free speech and because our government has chosen its people over following along with this globalist agenda that was weakening America and destroying our identity. The same exact path that the European Union and the UK are going down right now. This is a managed decline that only benefits the wealthy that are in power. And while people think that, the royals are not supposed to be political, they are political, and they will insert themselves if their self-interests are jeopardized. Before we talk about the Commonwealth Day service today at Westminster Abbey, let's talk about what's been going on the last couple of days, especially with the relationship between the United States and the UK.
And so has UK. Now, the second one is shocking, but this is not the age of Churchill. I will say the UK has been very, very uncooperative with that. But the UK, what they're doing with energy and what they're doing with immigration is horrible.
So back on March 3rd, President Trump made these remarks in the Oval, expressing his frustration over UK's uncooperativeness in this conflict that just began in the Middle East with Iran. I know that there's a lot of strong opinions from the right and the left about what the United States is doing in Iran and if it was the right thing. I'm going to ask you to go ahead and put those opinions to the side for 1 second and consider this perspective. Given that this channel is always focused on the royals from a political standpoint here in America and their influence on America, this tension that we're seeing with the UK is not just about Starmer being a weak leader or an incompetent leader. I believe this has everything to do with the global financial structure when it comes to the Middle East, where the UK is the core infrastructure, the foundation of the markets when it comes to energy and trade. This conflict in Iran completely disrupts and dismantles that, and naturally is affecting the UK economy. Trump was very specific when he said UK has problems with energy and migration. Prior to Donald Trump saying that, a few days earlier, trouble hit the Strait of Hormuz, which is this skinny waterway between Iran and Oman where tons of the world's oil and gas flow through daily. It says here it's about 20 to 30% of global oil. See, the U.S. and Iran, as they were fighting after U.S. airstrikes, Iran decided to start attacking ships with missiles and drones. Big shipping companies like Maersk stopped going through because they didn't want to get hit, leaving over like 200 tankers sitting idle. As a result, traffic dropped now 80 to 90%, and these ships had to take this super long detour around Africa. But the problem wasn't just the attacks that they were facing by Iran, it was the darn insurance by Lloyd's of London. You know, that old British company from the 1600s that insures most ships worldwide, especially in these dangerous spots. Well, these bastards went ahead and hiked the prices super high, like $1 million per trip for a big tanker, or in some cases just outright refused to cover ships in the strait. So this basically shut everything down without Iran blocking it physically. Now, for those that don't know, Lloyd's is a power player and key to the UK economy, bringing in about $40 billion a year and around 50 or so thousand jobs. Now, in my opinion, I think this was really petty. I think Lloyd's did this on behalf of the Crown to sabotage Donald Trump's authority and its influence in the region. And the reason why I say that is because Lloyd's has a strong tie to the British royal family for centuries. Royals like Queen Elizabeth opened their buildings. But even more important, you have the relationship with King Charles and the Sustainable Markets Initiative. Now, a few months back, I did a video on King Charles's Sustainable Markets Initiative and why Donald Trump right now has threatened that whole money-making industry for this climate change scam. You see, Lloyd's makes a lot of money off of green insurance and fighting climate change. Okay, they're also leading the Sustainable Markets Initiative task force. So yeah, they are highly in bed with the royal family. You see, what Lloyd's failed to understand is that you don't mess with one of the best businessmen in the world. You're dealing with a man who created the art of the deal. And on March 3rd, President Trump went ahead and had the U.S. government offer cheap insurance for ships carrying oil and gas through the area, backed up to about $20 billion. Plus, U.S. Navy ships could guard them. Now, I know Lloyd's wasn't providing that kind of service. Yeah, I don't think Lloyd's saw that one coming. But the bottom line is we got shipping moving again, but now it's under American control. See, Lloyd's petty behavior hurt the UK bad. Because now they're going to lose business because shipping might actually switch to U.S. insurance forever, costing the UK billions. We talk about the oil prices jumping over $80 a barrel, which is raising everyday costs like gas and food, but realize this was not Trump's fault. This is because of what Lloyd's did, and it backfired. I expect to see prices going down once shipping gets back on schedule.
As we continue Operation Epic Fury, we're also focused on keeping energy and oil flowing to the world, and I will not allow a terrorist regime to hold the world hostage and attempt to stop the globe's oil supply. And if Iran does anything to do that, they'll get hit at a much, much harder level. I will take out those targets that were easy and that I mentioned just before will take them out so quickly, they'll never be able to recover, ever. If they want to play that game, they better not play that game. In the long run, oil supplies will be dramatically more secure without the threat of Iranian ships, drones, missiles, nuclear menace, or anything. So the Strait of Hormuz is going to remain safe. We have a lot of Navy ships there. We have the best equipment in the world, inspecting for mines. Again, most of their ships are down at the bottom of the sea, but we will hit them so hard that it will not be possible for them or anybody else helping them to ever recover that section of the world if they do anything. In recent years, the regime and its terror proxies have launched attacks on hundreds of commercial vessels. We're putting an end to all of this threat once and for all, and the result will be lower oil prices, oil and gas prices for American families. We've done that. We've done it. We brought it very low. This was just an excursion into something that had to be done. We're getting very close to finishing that, too. In the meantime, during this brief disruption, the United States is offering political risk insurance to any tankers operating in the Gulf. So we're putting up risk insurance. We'll perhaps go alongside of them for protection. We don't think it'll be necessary if it is. And if they do anything, the price will be incalculable. It will be so great that they will have wished they never did it, because you have to keep the straits flowing. With all of that, it affects other countries much more than it does the United States. It doesn't really affect us. We have so much oil. We have tremendous oil and gas, much more than we need. We have Venezuela now as our new partner, great partner. They've worked out so wonderful. We're working with the administration, the president, and it's a massive source of oil, gas, everything. But we're in a very good position, but very unfair to other parts of the world, like China as an example. I mean, we're doing this for the other parts of the world, including countries like China. They get a lot of their oil through the straits. So we're doing this. We have a very good relationship with President Xi in China. I'm going there in a short period of time, and we're protecting the world from what these lunatics are trying to do, and very successfully, I might add. We're also waiving certain oil-related sanctions to reduce prices. So we have sanctions on some countries. We're going to take those sanctions off till this straightens out. Then who knows, maybe we won't have to put them on. There'll be so much peace. But when the time comes, the U.S. Navy and its partners will escort tankers through the strait if needed. I hope it's not going to be needed, but if it's needed, we'll escort them right through.
I'm willing to bet that King Charles is not too happy right now, because losing Lloyd's strength hits the UK economy, which is what the royals represent. And at the same time, it messes with his personal work on sustainability and this whole SMI initiative and markets that they're trying to push worldwide. And this is why they were so gung-ho with this Agenda 2030 and wrapping everything around the environment. We do get a little hint of this frustration in the Commonwealth Day speech that the King gave today. I want to take you through it so you can see what I'm talking about. So it says here, we join together on this Commonwealth Day at a time of great challenge and great possibility. Across our world, communities and nations face the increasing pressures of conflict, climate change, and rapid transformation. Yet it's often in such testing moments that the enduring spirit of the Commonwealth is most clearly revealed. Ours is a remarkable association that spans every ocean and continent. Embracing an extraordinary diversity of culture, language, and faith, our Commonwealth family is united by shared values of justice, democracy, opportunity, compassion, and mutual respect. In a world that can feel increasingly fragmented, this voluntary union of free association remains rare and precious, a forum for open and honest discussion and debate to help improve the lives of the nearly 3 billion people who call our member states home. Our Commonwealth of Nations holds untapped potential for prosperous trade between trusting partners. With nearly 2/3 of our population under age of 30, we are a family defined by youth and possibility. It is our shared responsibility to ensure that they inherit not only hope and ambition, but also a world in which they can flourish, or as Meghan would like to say, thrive. That inheritance depends upon the health of our planet and on the restoration of the natural world on which we depend. Across so many parts of our Commonwealth, climate change is not an abstract or distant threat, but a lived reality. The stewardship of nature, the protection of oceans and forests, and the pursuit of prosperity secured in harmony with the natural world are duties we owe not only to one another, but to generations yet unborn. As we look ahead to the Commonwealth heads of government meeting in Antigua and Barbuda later this year, we are reminded that the great gatherings of our nations are strengthened by the daily endeavors of their people. What distinguishes the Commonwealth is not only what our governments resolve together, but what our people do each day in countless acts of service, enterprise, and creativity. When leaders meet, they do so on behalf of millions whose quiet determination, resilience, and generosity give true meaning to our shared endeavor. Working together, we can ensure that the Commonwealth continues to stand as a force for good, grounded in community, committed to the kind of restorative sustainability that has a return on investment, enriched by culture, steadfast in its care for our planet, and united in friendship and in the service of its people. If you gave me this speech and didn't tell me that it was the King's, I would have thought that Harry or Meghan could have given it, because how many times do we see all of these buzzwords in these speeches? I am so fed up of hearing the word community and shared responsibility and resilience and sustainability and democracy. Harry and Meghan and the socialist left have literally ruined all of these words. All of them. Resilience, community, shared responsibility. No, these 3 billion people that you speak of the Commonwealth didn't buy into that. They didn't vote for it. And this is what makes the sustainability bullshit an utter failure. I don't understand why he doesn't see that lives are not getting better as a result of these failed policies that are being pushed onto everyone. In fact, it's hurting people as a result of squeezing people for every dollar that they have for just breathing. What's very obvious here is King Charles is doubling down on the save the planet bullshit. What's concerning, though, is that now that the UK is going to take a hit from this Lloyd's debacle, there seems to be now an interest in giving attention to these Commonwealth countries. These past 6 years, the Commonwealth barely got any attention from the royal family, and something tells me that now we're going to see more attention and focus to drive trade. Without Donald Trump having to say it, I do think that the UK's special relationship with the US is over. In my opinion, I don't think the US can trust the UK due to the amount of Islamist terrorists that are being harbored as so-called asylum seekers and protecting them. From a national security perspective, I just don't think we should be sharing intelligence anymore with them. I think it's a sign of the times that the BBC today chose not to show Commonwealth Day coverage, citing that it was a funding issue, but I call bullshit. Something's not right there. I find it hard to believe that state-owned media chose not to air this broadcast. I find this really hard to believe because the King put out his speech a day early, so that meant he knew that there was going to be no broadcast. Couldn't they have asked GB News or ITV to cover it? I'm pretty sure one of them would have taken it up. This is a slap in the face, not only to British people, but also to the Commonwealth countries who are not physically there, but this is for them. I think a lot of this had to do with the optics and how small the royal family is now, because Sophie and Edward were not in attendance to this service today, and neither were Eugenie and Beatrice, and understandably so. Today, making headlines is Princess Eugenie stepping down as patron of Anti-Slavery International, which is one of the world's oldest human rights organization based in the UK. This comes off the heels of a newly released picture of allegedly Andrew inside Jeffrey Epstein's home. Yeah, you can see the royals are in a bit of a tough spot right now, and I think any more scrutiny on them could indeed damage further the brand. So perhaps maybe this was King Charles's decision. In light of the recent comments that Donald Trump has made and King Charles not stepping up and making a statement of, the relationship that the United States has with the UK, I think that goes to show that perhaps maybe next month King Charles will not be visiting the United States. I somehow get that feeling that that's where we are right now. So what do you think is going on here? Do you think that the state-owned media, the BBC News, pulled out at last minute covering a state-owned public event? Or do you think the royal family said, you know what, we don't want this broadcasted this year because there's so much scrutiny on us right now? King Charles doesn't look so well here. Could it be that he didn't want people to see him in this condition, maybe? These two definitely have the weight of the entire institution on their shoulders. I can only imagine the stress they must feel. But what do you guys think? Definitely let me know your thoughts below. As always, I will be back with more content, but until then, please be safe, and I'll talk to you later. Bye!
Such a fraud.